when he saw me in the hall, I said, "Hey, my name's Kim Mitchell." He goes, "Yeah, Max Webster. Nice to meet you."
Yeah, your original
And,
name.
yeah. So
That's excellent.
generally, people are okay. They've all been okay. Black Sabbath, they were kind of cool. We were in the same studio together, and they invited us in for a playback, and we kind of sitting around going, "Man, I'm sitting here listening to a song that Black Sabbath just cut like 5 minutes ago. This is nuts."
That's amazing.
Yeah, neat stuff. It's been a wonderful ride with some fun times and some challenging times and kind of weird times, like some really weird stuff. But
yeah,
rock and roll, baby.
You've been on the same bill with so many people and so many other artists. Did you ever imagine that when you first started this, like life would take you in that direction? I mean, as a Canadian artist, right? I mean, you're rocking out with people all over the world.
Yep. No, I never saw it coming. I thought, I quit home and quit school at 17. And I thought, well, by the time I'm late 20s or 30s, I'll be back home in Sarnia, Ontario, which is a small town in, Canada, about 3 hours from Toronto, Canada. So, I thought I'd be back doing something, and it just kept going and going and going, and went down a road that I never had imagined. And it's been great, and you get to do it, strap a guitar on, and make some gas money. It's pretty cool.
That is cool. I was I was out at my mom's on the weekend for a little pool get together, and I was talking.
Do I know her?
No, I hope not.
It would be a heck of a sight, let me tell you.
because I want to tell you, there's a time, man, when mothers would be coming to the tour bus and going, "My daughter on there," and now it's the daughter's coming going, "Hey, is my mom on there?"
That's awesome.
So you were saying,
I mentioned that you were going to be. Both my parents actually love you, but my stepdad was just mentioned this story about how he's a big fan, and he remembers seeing you play at the Quinny in Trenton.
Sure.
He said you must have been he said maybe in your 20s. And so we just kind of got into a conversation and talked about that a little bit. But he said that basically he saw you live that one time in your early career, and he's kind of followed you ever since, which was kind of a cool story.
Yeah, that's very nice. So I tell your dad, thanks a lot for doing that. And I do remember Trenton. There's Queens hotels everywhere. I think we played pretty much all of them. That would be Max Webster days when you'd play Monday to Friday and work all the time. But the good fallout from all that, you think, oh, you're doing bars, but the good thing is you're playing every night. So the band's getting really, really tight and loose at the same time. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Definitely. Now you have also a little bit of a television history as well. You've appeared on many TV shows and sketch programs. You were also on Kids in the Hall, another Canadian favorite.
Yeah, I was. Yeah. That wasn't something that I even thought would be happening much. It's just that throughout my musical career, these companies would call and go, "Can Kim make an appearance on this? Can Kim do that?" And so that's kind of how all that happens. It's sort of backroom stuff, agents and stuff like that. Hey, we want to do this. And same thing with getting my music on commercials. People were like, "So what did you think about your songs on commercials?" And I'm like, well, I really had no say in it. Your publisher kind of pulls all that stuff, and plus these people are there to make you money. And I always like to remind people, yeah, my music was used in some commercials, but not once did I ever even ask a manager or the publisher, "Hey, how much money are we talking here?" I didn't do that once. It was more like, "Hey, they want to use that in the donut commercial? Sure, go ahead." Miami Vice, they used my song on.
Yep.
Kids in the Hall. What was the other one? All in the Family. Not All in the Family. Family. What was it? I can't remember. But yeah, it's been cool. I don't have an acting career. I was asked to do a couple small parts in movies, which I passed on. Mm-hmm. It's not because I just didn't have the time or the desire at the time. I'm more interested in writing and that sort of stuff. So.
And here we are now, and you're on your newest album after 13 years.
Yeah. I really didn't think I was going to record again, because when you have this career going and you're playing all these festivals and gigs and attendance is good and people are loving the music you're playing, which is your classics, the stuff they've grown up on, Patio Lanterns, Go for Soda, Rock and Roll Duty, All We Are, Lager and Ale. They're rocking out to this stuff, and you're thinking, there's no real reason for me to do a record, but dancers have to dance, painters have to paint. I'm a musician, guitar player, and I write songs, so I have to write songs. So over the past 13 years, I was writing. And then a producer friend of mine, Greg Wells, who's very successful. He did 21 Pilots' first record, OTEP. He did Keith Urban #1 songs. He did Pink, Katy Perry stuff. He's Grammy Award-winning record producer. He got a USB, I call it the USB key of shame that I gave him. I had some demos on it. And I just said, Greg, I know you're a busy guy. You're a famous guy. You've got so much stuff going on. If you listen to one tune and can give me some feedback on one, great. And he got a hold of me a few weeks later and said, please come to Los Angeles. Let's record this. I want to start blocking out time for you. So I went down and we started making this record.
That's amazing. So
yeah, it was pretty cool. From not thinking that you were going to do it, that those songs, you just wrote them and no one ever hear them. But now, not only that, but one of the best record producers out of that area, well respected, is saying, come to my recording studio. Let's record these. I'm like, okay, then. All right, sure.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And it sounded great. Like, the whole experience was great. I've always found when I'm in Los Angeles that it's a real creative place. There's something about the vibe there that in the studios, when you go in the studios, what you're playing and what you're getting, and then you take it out of the studio, there's always that bit of doubt where you go, is this really what I'm hearing? And it's always sounds so great outside the studio. So you can just kind of relax and do your thing. And, some people slam LA. It's like, oh yeah, well, every table waiter thinks they're an actor. Well, they're actors and they have to do this gig, but you'll also see before that waiter starts to, or server starts to work, they're going over lines, they have an audition in the morning and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I just love that sort of atmosphere of Los Angeles for that.
Amazing. All right. So let's get into the second section of our show, and we're going to do our rapid fire questions with Matty G.
Rapid fire questions.
Question number 1. What made-up word would you register into the English language?
Insignoramus.
I kind of love it already.
What does that mean?
It's a it's a word that Frank Zappa came up for with his son, Dweezil, who I interviewed. And his son, Dweezil, said, Dad, what would you call a guy who wears a rock t-shirt all the time? And he came up with the word insignoramus. So I think that should go in there.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
That is cool. Question 2. What is the scariest dream that you can remember?
Scariest dream I can remember. I don't know. I can't remember a dream. So you usually wake up and they're kind of gone. So.
Yeah, I'm the same way, actually. What superpower do you wish you had?
Superpower. I wish I could just jump up in the air and fly.
That's always a popular one. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it's pretty normal human desire because we can't. Or read minds would be good. I'd love to be able to read minds. Then am I wasting my time here or what?
Fair enough.
Right? Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. That could be a blessing and a curse.
And a curse, yeah, all at once.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd get thick skin pretty quick, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
That's for sure.
You'd avoid questions like, was it good for you, honey?
Oh, yeah. I wasn't even talking about that. I was talking about like, hey, nice to meet you. Realizing they're going, oh, God, that's such a jerk.
Matty always takes it to a whole new direction.
Oh, yeah, of course. I'm beginning to see that. Go ahead,
What's your earliest childhood memory?
Earliest childhood memory is sitting on my father's lap watching Ed Sullivan and seeing Elvis Presley.
Cool.
That's really cool.
And after that, literally on the floor in the corner of the dining room, there was a little 45 record player, and I would spin records all the time. I remember that. I was quite turned into quite a loner, you know, as opposed to going out and playing tag and kick the can and whatever, all those other childhood games.
What the hell do those kids know anyways?
Yeah.
What do they know?
You're doing just fine anyway.
What are they doing now?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
Still
they're
kicking
doctors,
the can.
They're lawyers. Yeah, doctors,
They're not
lawyers.
buying their own gold records back.
That's right, at a yard sale. That's for sure.
What activity makes you the happiest?
Walking my dog Webster in the morning.
Oh, that's
The
a good
very
one.
first
I love
walk.
walking my
The
dog.
very first walk, which is basically starts out as a pain. You're like 6 o'clock. You're like, oh God, really again? Oh man, really?
Yeah.
But then it's like so peaceful in the morning walking around. And it doesn't matter, guys. It doesn't matter who you are, who you think you are. Within the first 15 minutes, you're picking up dog shit.
That's
and it really
right.
puts you in your place. So,
Yep. That's very
That's
humbling.
right. Yep.
and you know, when dogs do that, it's not you just pick it up. You have to look at it and get do the little report, right? Yeah,
That's
okay,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, geez, I shouldn't have gave him a cracker last night. Okay,
Damn it. He's got a gluten allergy.
that's right.
If you decided to learn a foreign language, which one would you learn?
Japanese,
Good choice.
because one of my keyboard players, he's an Italian kid, young Italian kid, and a very talented keyboard player. He kind of became a Japanaholic, and just listening to him talk and speak the language was amazing. He'd speak it because he's studying it. And one day, our set list, I looked down on my set list, was written in Japanese, and he ended up being in one of the largest rock bands in Japan, which is Bees. I don't know whether you've ever heard of them, but
cool.
they're literally, he'll go over there and play 20,000 people a night. Like they're a massive band. Yeah. Yeah. So I just like the sound of Japanese. I think it's a cool, everyone generally goes towards Italian as a romantic, but I think Japanese sounds very soft and beautiful.
Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I
it's hard
agree.
to
That's a
learn
good
though,
one.
apparently. He said that. He said it's really hard to learn.
Yeah, I bet.
If you could relive a decade, which one would you choose?
Relive a decade.
Yeah.
Well, one that I wasn't around for, probably the 20s. Just
20s?
sounded
Yeah.
everything you read about it, like
Yeah.
just sounded like craziness and party and 20s or 30s, 40s, right around there.
Yeah.
Love the music of the 40s, actually.
Yeah. I'm partial to the 40s and 50s.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
Cool.
But okay, relive, 80s.
80s?
Yeah?
Yeah. To
Cool.
relive the 80s? Yeah.
A real good balance of cheese and the cheesy videos of the 80s. I'm
Yep.
guilty of that
Yeah.
shit,
Love 'em.
Hey,
But
I grew up on 80s
but
music, so.
but they were good times for me. So you asked what decade I wanted to relive, and it was a good decade for me.
Yep.
Right on. Sweet.
Plus, that's a decade Back in Black came out, and that's just like one of the best rock albums ever.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
What do you have a go-to joke?
I can never remember jokes. I love jokes, and I'll be like, that's the funniest joke I've ever heard, and I can never remember them after. So
That's
don't.
fair. Yeah.
It's sort of the last one I've heard that I can remember is my go-to joke.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you believe in aliens?
Well, it's just too big out there to.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's aliens. It's just too. Like it goes forever. It's infinity, right? It never stops. And then you can, that really is part of the thing that screws my brain up is thinking about that, because you sit there and go, well, at some point it stops, or at some point it starts repeating itself. Well, then what's beyond that? And which
Exactly.
brings me to the theory that it's so massive out there and we're so small that we're just like a little blip of, I don't know what it is. Anyway.
Right.
It just kind of makes my head explode when I start thinking.
I know,
about all
same
that stuff.
here.
But
I've contemplated
So
the
the-
vastness of the universe as well.
yeah. I think it's just something our brains can't comprehend. So I feel that there has to be other life forms out there, and the reason why